Welcome to the Friday Senior Solutions Agency call. Joe Johnson, Michael Mahalik, we're going to be your host today. We got a great call lined up for you. This is going to be one of those calls that kind of a foundational type call that you're going to want to go back and listen to multiple times. We also are going to get on, if I can find them on here, we're going to get a guest speaker on. Let me see if I can find him. Gerard, there he is. Let's see if he's on. I want to get him on real quick. Hey, Gerard, are you out there, buddy? I just unmuted you. Let's see. It says you are self-muted. If you're listening, there you go.
Can you hear me now, Joe?
Yeah, buddy, I can hear you great, man. How you doing?
Good. I can't complain. How's everything your way?
It's good, man. Life is good. We're staying safe, and although my son had COVID about 2 weeks ago. He lives on his own. He's older, he's 24 years old, has an apartment and stuff, and so he's all good. But knock on wood, our family that lives in the house, myself, my wife, my daughter, and my father-in-law lives with us. We've all been able to stay healthy and COVID free, so far. But anyway, I wanted to get you on real quick because I know last week you were busy, but you had sent me you had sent me a text and on some families that you were able to help, and I found that I always like when I get those texts from agents. For me, it's inspirational when I get those success stories. So I just thought I would, since you shared it with me, I thought maybe we could get you on for a little bit and you could share a little bit about the success that you had and tell us a little bit about those families that you were able to protect. So I'll turn it over to you. Just introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and then and guys, by the way, this is totally unscripted. Like, we had not talked. This is not planned out. This is totally unscripted, impromptu, and he's going to be speaking from his heart. So with that, Gerard, let me turn it over to you for a couple of minutes.
Sure. Thanks for having me on the call, Joe. I definitely appreciate all that you do, and thanks for allowing me to share on your platform. I'm actually based out of Columbia, South Carolina. I started a life insurance business back in February of last year, so it's almost been a full year for me, and I was told that your first year would be your hardest year. So I think I've survived the first year, but I've been having a lot of success, from day one with the life insurance business. Just lately, when I had reached out to you, I was able to protect, like 4 or 5 families within the past, week and a half or so. The first gentleman that I actually met up with, he was about 72 years old, and he had just gotten a policy with AIG, and he wanted the max amount that he could actually get, which was $25,000, and he was paying about $350 a month for that policy. The policy had just arrived maybe about 2 weeks ago, and so what I did was I used the FEX toolkit to look at some options for him for that amount of coverage, and I was able to show him how much it would cost for Sons of Norway, which was about $80 less per month.
Oh my God, really?
This is a no-brainer. So I was able to help him out with, getting him the same coverage. He was just shocked that, the difference in price was so much. And I actually showed him all the GI carriers that I had on my phone so he could actually see for himself, the different, rates. And he said, I want to definitely go ahead and go with that one. I mean, when you think about it, you're talking saving $80 a month over the course of a year. That's $1,000 a year. 10 years is over $10,000. 20 years is $20,000. I mean, for the same coverage. So that was a no-brainer right there. Actually met up with someone else who showed me a couple times. And
can I ask you a real quick question?
Sure.
So he had just got a policy. I'm assuming, I don't know if you even asked him, but how did he get that first policy? I'm assuming he had maybe filled out some type of lead card or was a Facebook lead. Did you ever get into any of that?
It was an internet lead.
Mhm.
So someone had came out and met with him prior to me, and when I called him, I just went to my regular phone script, and when I got to his home, I asked him pretty much, were you needing to kind of get some coverage or looking to add to what you already have, or
Right.
were you looking to do a policy review? He said honestly, I just wanted to see if you could actually beat my rate. So
Got
I
it.
said,
Okay.
okay. So he wanted a policy review. And I said, well, you have a great policy. I said, based upon your health, this is the right product for you. I said, but I'll see what I can do. And I just, used the FEX toolkit and, ran some rates and showed it to him.
Okay. And then how did you find this client? Was it a warm market lead? Was it off of a lead that you had purchased?
Yes, it was an internet lead that I purchased. It was an aged lead. So the lead was, 1 to 3 months old. And
Okay.
I had reached out to him. Actually, he was a lead that I purchased probably about 3 or 4 months ago. Never made contact with him, and
Wow.
I was coming home one morning and just grabbed a stack of leads in my garage and just started going through those. And he answered the phone, and I booked an appointment, and that's what happened.
Got it. All right, man. That's awesome. Okay. All right.
Uh,
So we got him covered. That's amazing.
yeah, and another young lady was someone who we had an appointment scheduled. It's probably been 3 or 4 months ago. She no showed me a couple times. I door knocked her. She said, come back. And I just kind of kept on, following up with her, dripping on her. And we actually had an appointment scheduled and she was home. And, once I got there, she had no insurance. She did tell me that she had COVID about a month ago.
Okay.
So I know some carriers look at COVID on the application and other carriers do not. So
Yeah.
again, I went to that FEX toolkit, typed in COVID-19, and it gave me a list of carriers that would, accept someone even if they've had COVID in the past.
Yeah.
And we went with CVS for her. So she got approved, with that as well.
And
I
these are
had
all
some
face to face, right? This is in-home elbow to elbow type sales, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, these are all face to face, face to face.
All right. Awesome.
Um, and these are all internet leads as well. So I'm
Okay.
calling, booking appointments, and going to see them. I had another appointment with someone last week who had been denied several times for insurance, and she was
Okay.
depressed when I got there. She said, "I've had so many agents come out here, and they want to put me on a 2 year waiting period, because of my health conditions." And
Yeah.
she just had COPD, and so I narrowed it down to, CVS or Transamerica. Went
Yeah.
with CVS, and she got approved as standard. And she was almost in tears because she was able to get, immediate coverage after she had been told that her only option was going to be 2 years. That's why it's really important to have, a good portfolio of carriers that you can use, to service our clients. Because if I didn't have that carrier, it may have been a 2 year wait, or she may not have had any insurance at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, she got approved on the spot. I actually called someone Monday, as a matter of fact, making phone calls, booking appointments, and she said, "Well, Gerard, right now I was just diagnosed with COVID, and I have to quarantine for 15 days. So, we really can't have anyone come out to the home." I said, "Well, no problem." I said, "We can take care of this over the phone. Have you got about, 10, 15 minutes right now?" She said, "Sure." So we went through the process right over the phone, went with CVS again. We got her approved for immediate coverage as well.
And
Uh,
she was currently in like she had COVID when you talked to her.
yes, she had COVID when I talked to her. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
yes,
So there you
yes.
go, man. If somebody has lesson learned, man. CVS Aetna doesn't care about COVID. So that's amazing. All right.
Right, right. And just the other day, I met with someone else. She had COPD,
Okay.
and hers actually went to underwriting. She has some other outlying issues as well.
Yeah.
But the next day, it came back as approved for coverage as standard. So I reached out to her. I
And
wasn't
which
sure how it
carrier
was
was
going to
that?
go, honestly. What was that? I'm sorry.
Which carrier was that?
That was CVS once again.
Yeah, I'm liking CVS Aetna, man.
That was CVS once again. So it's been great. Just booking appointments, seeing people, and having the right carriers to lead with,
Yeah.
and clients are getting coverage, and everyone's happy. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it sounds like you're making good use out of your FEX Toolkit subscription.
I use that every single day when I'm out in the field. I also use your cheat sheets that I use as
Oh,
well.
you do? Okay.
Um,
All right.
I have those laminated that I take with me in my binder, and those are for a quick reference. So I use those every single day when I'm out in the field. They've been very helpful, and they've made me thousands of dollars. So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Anything else you want to share? Any words of wisdom or any inspirational or motivational thoughts before we let you go?
Sure. I just say, it all boils down to activity. And I think, even myself personally, I had no idea the amount of activity it would take to, resolve leads, whether that's in person or over the phone.
Yeah.
Uh, like I mentioned to you on the previous call that I did a few months back, some dial sessions I'm making anywhere from 300 to 400 phone calls,
In
per
one
dial
day.
session. Yeah. So, and this is all manual dialing. So I'm calling until I get, a yes or a no. I'm door knocking my leads in between appointments, and I'm constantly on the phone in between as well. So just, staying busy, getting in front of people. Um, and when you get the leads, I mean, they're all families that have requested help. So to me, I don't think there are any bad leads. At
Yeah.
some point in time, they've all requested help, and it's our job to get the information out to them by any means necessary. And I think a lot of times as agents, we tend to um, get caught up making it all about ourself by getting rejected all day long over the phone or in person. But when you think about it, I mean, you're really servicing that family. They need the coverage. And I mean, people's first reaction is no, I'm not interested. I don't want it. No, thank
Right.
you.
Yeah.
I'm just browsing. I'm just looking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I agree with you.
and so it's our job to kind of break through those barriers and do what we can, give them our best shot, whether that's over the phone or in person, to meet with that client or service them over the phone. That's our obligation. That's our duty as agents. We have a very important responsibility that we have. I mean, this is their family's last love letter, to them, and it's our job to really give it our best to make sure their families are protected. It's a
Yeah, I'm
mission.
with you 100%, man. I can feel your passion through the speaker. You know what I'm saying? Like I can just tell that you really, man, it's great to go out and make money for your family, which is obviously very important, but I can feel it in your heart that you're doing it not just for the money, but I mean, it like you said, man, it's your responsibility, it's your duty to go out and protect those families. So, man, we appreciate you, and I appreciate you. I know you got a busy schedule, but certainly appreciate you taking the time to come on the call because just you know I can talk all day, man, but hearing it from someone that's actually out and doing it, you've inspired me, and I'm sure you're going to inspire everybody that is on this call and everybody who's going to be, we'll probably get a couple of thousand views on YouTube. So you're helping out a lot. And we certainly appreciate you very, very, very much.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you as well.
All right, brother. All right, man. You have an awesome day. Again, thanks for being on.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Michael, you still there?
How powerful, Joe. I tell you, Joe, I'm ready to go out and door knock some leads right now. Thank you, Jared. Wow.
I know,
I'm
man.
on
Right?
fire right now. Really inspired us.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, let's move on with the rest of our call. That was the motivational, inspirational part of our call. As we said before, every week I'm going to have I'm going to put up some type of inspirational quote, typically from somebody that everyone is aware of. This quote or this saying happens to be Muhammad Ali, who back in the day was. I think our view of Muhammad Ali is much different now because when you have time, time can give you perspective on someone's life. But Michael, as kids, we're both in our 50s, and back in the 60s and 70s, I mean, Muhammad Ali was a very controversial figure.
He was.
I mean, it was either you loved him or you hated him, At the time, I just loved him. I was a kid, but there's a lot of people that, that didn't like him because of the whole Vietnam thing. And, he actually went to jail for 3 years. But one of the inspirational quotes that I found online, and I've actually in interviews have heard Muhammad Ali say this, is that he says, I hated every minute of training, but I said to himself, basically, is don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion, which I really think kind of goes into, I think it's a good segue into the call that we're going to have today, as we're providing you with the information on how to work leads. Is that it is all about it's not quitting. It's having that intestinal fortitude, and if you're a boxer, it's being able to get knocked down on your butt, but still be able to get up. In business, we're going to get knocked down. We're going to get sometimes we're going to get our asses kicked. Basically, is what's going to happen. And when that happens, man, you either got to make the choices like, I quit. This ain't for me, which is okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. I mean, being self-employed and being in financial services isn't for everybody. You got to have the tenacity to be able to get up off the canvas, get up off the ice or the football field, or in business, you got to be able to get up off your butt and be able to go out and keep doing it. So that was our inspirational quote for today. Let's see, we already had Jared on. I'm sorry. I get my names confused here. All right, so our topic for today, our topic is going to be top secrets to working leads. These are, Michael and I put a lot of thought into this. This is kind of our thought process on working leads. There's a lot that goes into it when you're getting your leads. There's, we could probably have a 5-hour seminar on this. So I'm going to take about 5 hours worth of information and condense it down into about 20 or 30 minutes of what I feel are the most important aspects of working leads. And if you are checking this out on YouTube, we're obviously, this is a live webinar, but if you came across this on YouTube and you're not subscribed to our channel, please. This is Senior Solutions Agency. We specialize in final expense. Subscribe to our channel. We put out new content every single week. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we put out new content. Also, if you are interested, like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're interested in contracting opportunities, reach out to me. That's actually my cell phone. You can give me a call or shoot me a text, and we can talk about whether or not Senior Solutions would potentially be a good fit for you. So with that, Michael, let's move right into our topic. Let me just check. Let's see, it's already 10:51 Chicago time. I don't want to take probably more than maybe 20 minutes on this. So we're going to hit it pretty hard. Michael and I are going to kind of tag team on this. But the first thing I want to talk about and I call it the secrets to working leads. And not that there are any secrets in this business, but it's like there's certain things in order to be successful that are going to be critical. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. First is about just about working leads in general. And I don't care what type of leads, and this is could be for any business. I don't care if it's you're doing final expense, mortgage protection, you're in real estate business, or you're a mortgage broker. It all comes down to weekly lead flow. So regardless of whether you're selling face-to-face, over the phone, or what business you're in, maybe you're not even in the insurance business. Maybe you're in a different business and you're just happen to be watching this this video for some reason. One of the keys to working leads is having leads, and having leads consistently on a weekly lead flow. I can tell you the one thing that in Michael, we've seen it a million times, and unequivocally, it doesn't work, and it will never work. And if you're thinking about this, don't do it. And that is, if you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not sure if this is going to work for me. Let me just order 20 leads and give it a try. And to be quite honest with you, if that's your attitude, you might as well just quit, because it ain't going to work. So if you're gonna relegate your success to a small sample size of just 20 leads, because if that were the case, if I had said that to myself back in 2009, 2010, Michael, I'd be out of the business, because my first 20 leads were a disaster. I didn't sell anybody.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So so if you're going to have that attitude, why don't you have the attitude of why not make it 1,000 leads? You know what I mean? Let me work 1,000 leads. Let me try this for a year and see, because you got to give yourself enough time to get through the learning curve. Because if you're new, or maybe you're not used to working, direct mail leads or internet, whatever type of leads that you're going to work, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve to get through those. So that first batch of 20 leads, you may not sell anything. There's no guarantee, but what is guaranteed is that you're going to go through that learning experience, and you have to be committed to getting a little bit better every single day. So a couple of things I'm going to talk about on having leads. Number one is that you have to be 100% committed financially. So you can't have the, like, I'm going to do it once, I'm going to spend $500, and if it don't work, I'm quitting. Okay. You have to be committed 100% financially. You have to be 100% committed emotionally. You got to have your emotions into it, and you got to be 100% committed that you're going to do it consistently. So it's not just about a one-time lead flow, Michael. It's about multiple lead flows. I think, Michael, you said it best. We were talking the other day, and we were talking about, man, it's a numbers game. And here's the thing: one batch of 20 leads, they may not be good leads. They may suck, and you may not get any sales. But you know what? Your next batch of 20, maybe you sell 50% of them, which is twice the national average, and then you'll get another batch in. So you can never relegate your success based on one batch of leads. You can never relegate your success to looking back and say, well, I sucked this week. So no, you got to have a bigger sample size, if you will. And here's the thing, Michael, I've had bad weeks, I've had bad months, but I've never had a bad year. And the reason why is because I stayed consistent, and I realized, yeah, it is just a numbers game, and I got to put in, and if you know it's a numbers game, and if you're smart, you're going to put the odds in your favor, and you're going to have those leads. This may seem counterintuitive, but if you're sucking, instead of getting less leads, get more leads. Increase your activity. If you're getting 20 leads a week and it ain't working, it may seem crazy. Don't reduce your lead order, increase your lead order. Be able to speed up the time frames and be able to go out and see people. And as you're learning your craft, you're going to get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better incrementally every single day. And it's easier. It's easier for people to get better incrementally and small, instead of saying, Michael, well, next month I'm going to increase my sales by 20%. Okay. Why don't you say, hey, next month I'm going to increase, or, next week I'm going to do 1% more, 1% more. It's those small increments of success that build up that lead to great success. And before we get on to the next part, Michael, I don't want to hog the whole call. Let me turn it over to you. Let me get your thoughts on the importance of weekly lead flow.
Well, Joe, you said, especially in year number one, it's all about consistency, consistency, consistency. As we always say over and over, Joe, this business is like the game of baseball. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and some are just going to get rained out. But it's a guarantee you definitely are going to miss every ball that you don't swing at. And when you embrace it, this is a numbers game. You can start putting those numbers on your side, but even more importantly, Joe, you can start putting the pressure where the pressure really belongs, which is on the numbers and not on yourself. So back to you, Joe, but perfect. You're hitting the nail on the head.
Well, just a real key, and man, I just feel like once I get going, man, like I swear I could talk like 3 days on this. Talking about putting the numbers in your favor. Man, I lost my train of thought. All right, maybe it'll come to me. All right, that's point number one. Point number two is developing good prospecting skills, okay? And when I'm talking about the skills, I'm talking about the technical part, not the work part, but the technical part. Being able to have that script embedded and having it memorized to the point where it's just part of your normal speech. And when you're able to do that, then it doesn't sound canned, it doesn't sound scripted. You know what I mean? As an example, Michael, I'm off the cuff. I don't have any scripts in front of me. I'm just gonna call you up on the phone and I'm gonna book an appointment, okay?
Sounds good.
This is how it has to be, guys. This is how well you have to know the script. This is how important that you've got to be able to memorize it. And what do they say? You memorize it and then you internalize it.
Yeah, you memorize it. Well, you mimic it, you memorize it, and you make it your own. They call it
You
the
make
three
it your own.
M's.
You got to internalize it. So I'm going to call Michael up. Michael, you just answer the phone. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Michael.
Yes.
Hey, Michael. This is Joe Johnson with Senior Solutions here in King County, Illinois. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Very good. Hey, Michael. The reason for the quick call, I'm actually just getting back in touch with you. Recently, you had just filled out a card. You responded to the letter that we mailed you that was talking about the new state regulated programs to cover final expenses. And I'm actually the state license representative that's been in charge to get you that information. Michael, in fact, my company has me scheduled out there the next few days. Would it be better? Could I catch you tomorrow morning between 9:30, or something later in the day would be better for you? Michael, are you still
How
there?
about some later today? I take my grandchildren to school.
Okay, when you say later in the day, are we talking about 2 or 3 o'clock?
That'd be perfect.
Okay, all right, Michael, if you could grab a pen and paper, I'm going to put you down on my calendar for 2:30. And then the rest is just booking doing the tie downs, which I'm not going to get into. But that's how confident you got to be with your script to just be able to, like off the cuff, be able to give it at any time. How about just a real quick door knock script, Michael? Let me door
Perfect.
knock you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna door knock you. Answer the door.
Yes.
Oh, first of all, Michael, when you come out, I have my lead card. It says Michael Mahalik. I'm just assuming that you're Michael, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna knock on the door. You're gonna come out.
Yes.
Hello, Michael.
Yes.
Hey, Michael, my name's Joe Johnson. I'm actually the state licensed representative here in your area. The reason why I was stopping by you had recently filled out this card. I'm going to hand you the card so you can see it. Michael, you had recently filled out this card that was talking about the state regulated programs to cover final expenses. The great news is you've already been pre-qualified. My job is just to help with the enrollment process. It literally only takes a few minutes for me to go over the information. May I come in?
Yes, come right on in.
That's it. That's it. Michael says, well, I'm not sure. I don't remember filling this out. What's this all about? Michael, I totally understand. I can tell you this. I've been doing this for a long time. We literally have thousands of people that respond to these mailers every single week. And Michael, what I can tell you is most of the people that send this card back in, they tell me that their main concern is they just want to make sure is that when they do pass away, they're not leaving a financial burden to their family. I'm assuming that was your concern as well?
It was.
Okay. Like I said, Michael, you've already been pre-approved. My job is just to help with the enrollment process. It only takes a few minutes. May I come in?
Sounds good.
That's it. It's not difficult. You just got to keep it simple. Okay. And now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a Joe Johnson pro tip. And nowhere in my script did you ever hear me say the words life insurance? Nowhere. State regulated program to cover final expenses. You can say final expenses, but I'm just telling you as a pro tip, is me giving you friendly advice. Don't use the word life insurance. But Joe, it is life insurance. I understand it's life insurance. Okay. I had to learn that the hard way. Okay. When I almost failed out of this business, because when I transitioned to mortgage protection, because mortgage protection dried up, couldn't get any leads, and my IMO said, well, we got these final expense leads. Nobody knew how to work them. There was no training. We were thrown to the wolves. I'm going out there. I'm just assuming that these people wanted to buy life insurance. And my script was something like this. Hey, Mike, yeah, you had filled out this card about the life insurance to pay for your final expenses. I'm assuming you wanted information on life insurance, right? And
Yep.
yeah, it was like life insurance.
Yep.
Like, no, I wasn't looking for life insurance. And I was banging my, and when it clicked for me was realizing is that they didn't want necessarily, life insurance is just a product. So for the big shift for me, Michael, is when I stopped focusing on the product and I started focusing on what the product did, and I started focusing on what their concern was. I'm just telling you, that's when my life changed. Like it was like a revelation for me that, oh, Joe, they don't want to buy life insurance. They just want what life insurance does, and that's protect they don't want to leave their family with a financial burden. And man, and once that click, it was like so easy. You know what I mean? Just that one little like mind shift thing totally revolutionized my business. So if you're working leads and you're using the word life insurance, stop doing it. And I know why agents do it, Michael. The reason why agents do it or they pre-qualify over the phone is because they want to make sure they're not wasting their time. Well, I want them to know it's life insurance. So this is about, oh, you didn't want life insurance? You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
sometimes you just gotta, you just gotta be able to get your foot in the door, you know? Once you get your foot in the door, obviously at the end of your presentation, they're gonna know it's life insurance because you're doing a life insurance application. But just remember is that, focus on their concern, focus on the cause. Why did they send that lead card in? They didn't send it in just because they were because they wanted to buy life insurance. There was something emotionally that triggered that for them to send that card in. Before we move on, any thoughts on that?
I think that's big, Joe, not using the word insurance, because the one thing you don't want to do is create buyer's remorse before you even enter into their home.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you hit the nail on the head. Never use the word, and I'm a Christian man. The word religion, the word insurance, those are all words that trigger people pretty quickly. So, avoid the biggest enemy of sales success, which is using insurance. And always remember, Joe, when we're on this side of the door, we are a professional delivery person, nothing more and nothing less. Try to play a salesperson on the other side of the door, they will shut you down quick. It's all about the role you play at the door, and we only play one role, and that is a professional delivery person, much like a UPS or FedEx driver. But our one goal to be getting into the house.
Well, talking about delivery persons, that sort of thing, you want to take a minute or two and just talk about the importance of schedule and how important it is to have a good work schedule for yourself.
Oh, it is. It is. We'll call you have got to do it tonight before you got to plan your entire day out. Joe, whether you're using Road Warrior, if you're going old school with MapQuest, you need to be scheduled through your entire day. You need to be hitting on your first door by 9 o'clock. Joe, I like what Ryan Giddings, we had the top salesman on there by last week. And Ryan, after he sets his first appointment, he sets his second appointment at 6 o'clock. So he's almost bookending in his day, Joe, to make sure that he's going to be out in the field the entire day. So you got to play mind games on yourself. You no longer have a job, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't have a boss disciplining you anymore. You're the boss now, but you still have to have discipline. So you've got to have that schedule, and you got to stay out in the field the entire day. Joe, we counsel agents all the time, and we tell them that the 9 to 5 does not work in the insurance industry. It's much better to have 3 or 4 12-hour days than 5 or 6 8-hour days. So you just expect to be out in the field from sun up to sundown, and then expect to be prepared. Preparation is the key to success. Have all your leads mapped out from start to finish. Have of course, your name badge ring neck. Have your business cards. Have that lead, because as we know, that lead is your golden ticket. So you can relax when you walk up to the door, because you have a reason to be there. You're not cold calling. You're there because they requested this information. And then, of course, have those handy delivery notices. So be scheduled, but even as important as be scheduled, be prepared, as preparation is the key to success. Back over to you, Jeff.
Yeah, and that was a great pro tip from Ryan Giddings, is that if you're gonna preset appointments, book your first appointment as early as possible, and then the very next appointment you're able to set. Like it's when we're doing our calendar, we think, oh, well, we should book one at 9 o'clock, and then give ourselves 90 minutes, because maybe you're going to be there for an hour and you're going to have 20 minutes of drive time. Book your next one at 10:30 or 11. No, book one at 9, and then try to make your next one when you got that client on the phone. Say, hey, we're booked up tomorrow, but I can't squeeze you in the evening, but it's 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Force yourself to be out into the field all that time, because then you can fill in the rest of your calendar, and then you are able to do those door knocks. But the importance of having that schedule, okay, is number one, is that if you're just going to wing this and you're going to, what I say is flying by the seat of your pants, it's not going to work. And even having, when you're putting together your schedule, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you got to have like everything has to be scheduled out. That if you're going to get on the phone, you're going to pound the phone and you're going to make dials, you need to block out those time frames on your calendar, and they need to be non-negotiable. Just like today's call, Friday morning, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, depending on where you live. Every week, the Senior Solutions Agency call should be on your schedule, and it should be a non-negotiable. Okay. Your dial time, your out into the field, your door knocking time, those should be non-negotiable. So it's important. And here's what I can tell you: if you're married, your partner or your spouse is going to respect you and respect your time being self-employed if you're scheduled. because then whether you're doing it old fashioned on paper or you're doing a Google calendar, you can share your Google calendar with your spouse and say, hey, these are non-negotiables. This is what I got going on. But if you're just kind of winging it, Michael, they're not going to respect your time because it's more like a hobby than a business. Does that make
You
sense?
got it. You almost want your spouse to be your accountability partner, and you got to
Yeah, but
share
you
with them
know,
the dream.
but I had this one agent that used to, on his refrigerator every week, he would post like like the old the week at a view type calendar, would post it on the refrigerator. So everybody knew what his schedule was going to be. It's important for you to share um, your schedule with your family. And I'm just telling you, it's a game changer. You'll get so much respect out of your partnership with your spouse.
Joe,
Um,
as you always say, you're either scheduled or you're unscheduled. I love how you always say that on the calls.
you
Everybody
are.
talk about
I actually
scheduling.
have that written down, but I didn't say it. So thanks for saying it. Um, the other thing you talked about, being prepared, is the key to success. Um, the opposite of that is living in chaos. Living in chaos and being unorganized is the death of many agents. So you do need, Michael talked about it, having that table of organization. You need to be, you will be so much more productive if you are organized. If you have your leads organized, however you're doing it, whether it's in zip codes or like even when I get my leads, even though they're in a certain county, in that county, I break those leads down either into zip codes or cities, or close together, because I want to be as productive as possible. I don't want to book an appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning and then have my 11 o'clock necessarily. Maybe it's in the same county, but maybe it's 50 miles away. Some counties are really long. So having that table of organization is important, and having all your supplies, working your leads. It's one thing to have the lead flow, but you got to, when you're going out to see those clients, man, make sure that you're, before you go out, if you're using a tablet, double check your tablet. Make sure your tablet's working. Make sure your FEX toolkit is working. Make sure you didn't get bumped out. You got to redo your password. Michael, I think you mentioned it. Did you talk about having your supplies like the Senior Solutions
Yes, sir.
starter kit? So make sure that you've got your ID badge, your flip chart, having some type of like maps for us, or I like Road Warrior a lot, but that's all part of being organized. And then so the last thing that Michael and I want to talk about on working leads is just doing the work. You got to, you can have the weekly lead flow. You can know your scripts inside and out. You can be really organized, but all of that, honestly, it's 100% worthless if you don't just go out and work your ass off. I mean, there's no substitute for hard work. There's an inspirational quote from who's the inventor of the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison said, genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. You got to work. Like having all this knowledge, it's like a battery. If you look at it, if you take a battery has stored power, but a battery is worthless unless you actually hooked it up to something to make the motor run. So you look at yourself as a battery. You can have all this charged energy. You're ready to do something, but man, you got to get out of your own way. You got to get through the procrastination is what you got to do. And there's a really good book that a really good friend of mine wrote. I usually don't like push books, but Jeffrey Combs, a good friend of mine, wrote a book called the I think it's called the Procrastination Cure. And it talks about getting, like, breaking through procrastination, because Michael, at the end of the day, it's human nature to procrastinate. And the reason why we procrastinate, regardless, if you're procrastinating from picking up the phone, if you're procrastinating from going out and door knocking, if you're procrastinating from eating healthy or lifting weights or whatever it is, the reason that humans procrastinate is that it's because of the fear of the outcome, or it's because of the perceived pain of the outcome. So you're thinking to yourself, oh, I got these leads, but it's too early to call. They may get mad at me. You know what I mean? You're making all these BS objections in your own head. Oh, if I go out and door knock, I'm going to be out there all day. I'm going to be burning up gas. You're creating you're creating this story in your head, and you're creating this internal pain in your head. And when you do that, it leads to procrastination. And the easiest cure for procrastination, the easiest breakthrough, is just go do it. Like is going out and having momentum in doing it. The other thing for me, Michael, what was always, you can say, motivational or inspirational, is every day is rewriting down my goals and keeping my goals in front of me, having my goals in front of me in the car. So when I'm driving 30 miles to an appointment and I get no-showed, or even worse, I get porched. You guys know what being porched is? That's when you get stuck left on the porch, or the person comes out and like, no, I'm not interested. They don't even let you in. That's getting porched. Okay. Going back to your car and you're ready to quit, but you pick up your goals and you're reading why why are you doing this business? That gives you the inspiration to continue to do it. Michael, the last thing I want to cover.
Hey, and Joe, one thing I want to say real quick as well. One thing
Yeah.
I love about the final expense business, this is a true level playing field where, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, hard work beats talent every time that talent hardly works. Hard work can be the substitute for talent in this business. Anybody can succeed in this business if they just put the work in. And that's what I can always say with confidence, Joe, that, no, the only people that fail at Senior Solutions are the people that quit. If you go in and you put the work in, the numbers, this business is so aligned that the numbers will fall on your side, but it has to happen from you putting the work in. We all know, Joe, this business usually follows the rule of thirds. A third, everybody's going to write. A third, you're not going to write them at all. And that last third is based on your skill set. And as your skill set increases, the more of those you're going to write. So the numbers are on your side on this business, but you've got to do the work. It's not about talent. It's about the hard work and the commitment and getting out there and making it happen.
The skill set and the talent will come as you put in the work, and here's what I've learned, Michael, is in life, is that there's two primary ways that we learn and we get better. Okay. One, obviously, is repetition. It's just doing something, repeating it, doing it over and over and over and over and over, just getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Okay. How we learn the second way, and quite honestly, probably the most effective way of learning. Hey, Michael, are you still there?
I am here, friend.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I got disconnected here for a second. Let me just do a real quick time check. All right, guys, we're only going to be on the call for about another 5 minutes. But so through repetition, the other way that we learn, and we probably learn quicker and it sticks with you longer, is when you learn through emotion or physical pain. It's like a kid, if a kid is messing around on the stove and they touch a hot stove and it burns their fingers, they're never going to touch that hot stove again. If you ever got burnt by an iron, when you pick up an iron, you'd always assume that that iron is hot. You never put your hand on it because maybe you've been hurt before, okay? When I first got started selling final expense and I was using the word life insurance, and everybody shut me down saying, life insurance? I don't want to buy life insurance. It was an emotional response. I learned very, very quickly, hey, Joe, they don't want to buy life insurance. You got to stop saying life insurance. So that's, those are the two ways that we really learn. The great thing about working with a company like Senior Solutions is that you don't have to go out and figure it out. Like we've already gone out and we've paved the path and we've got our nose bloodies and our knees skinned up. We know what works, we know what doesn't work. The whole Senior Solutions sales system is based on trial and error. Because like I mentioned before, when I first got started in this business, when I started working final expense leads, and I think I mentioned this before, I was with an IMO whose primary focus was on mortgage protection. So like I was one of the first agents that started taking final expense leads because that's all I could get in my area, but there was no training. So I had to go out and just figure it out on my own, figure it out. This works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work. And slowly, it took me about a year and a half to really kind of fine tune my skills to what we now have as the Senior Solutions sales system. So before we end the call, Michael, I'm just going to end it with a couple of real quick bonus material.
Okay.
And we're going to end it with a little bit of mindset stuff. The one thing that you've got to learn, and I think it comes with confidence, and you will get much better at this business when you learn to be politely assertive, okay? That's when you, in a book that I read, Dave Anderson talked about this in one of his books, and it always stuck with me. He said that you have to care enough to confront, okay? And to me, what that means is that you got to be bold enough to call people out on their BS, okay? It's like with your, if you love your children, you're going to confront them. You have to care enough to confront. If they're doing something wrong, you've got to confront the situation and correct it. When you're with a client, okay, and they're giving you all these crazy excuses, okay, because they're procrastinating. What is it you say, Michael? They're professional procrastinators?
They're professional procrastinators. There's a reason they made the 55, 65, and 70 without the insurance, and it wasn't because it wasn't offered to them before. They're professional procrastinators.
Right. You have to care enough to confront. You have to be politely assertive. And quite frankly, you got to call them out on their BS, and listen, at the end of the day, our job is to go out and present and convince or persuade them that this is the time that they should protect their family. Okay. So anyway, that's like bonus tip number one. The other tip that I can tell you personally that took me a long time to realize is that you have to learn as an agent. This is important, so listen. You have to learn not to get emotionally attached to the outcome of every lead. I'm going to say that again. Learn to not get emotionally attached to the outcome of every lead, okay? Michael, I can remember when I first got in this business and I started working the expensive leads, okay? When I say expensive, I'm talking about $25 or $30, okay? And I was at a much lower contract. So that was expensive. When you're at a 55, 60% contract rate, $30 for a lead is a lot of money. Okay. And I can just remember being in my car, just like in getting shut down and like, there's another 20 or $30. There's another, I was getting emotionally attached to the outcome of every lead. What you have to learn is look at the big picture, that it is a numbers game, is that maybe you're going to get 5 no's in a row, but then you're going to get 3 yeses. Maybe you're going to get 10 no's, then you're going to get 5 or 6 yeses. You're going to go on a streak. This sometimes, it's like baseball. It can be final expense and working leads sometimes can be very streaky, right, Michael?
Yes, sir.
But the numbers work out. So, I've gone on streaks where I've sold like 7 or 8 appointments in a row. But I've also gone on streaks where I like 10 appointments and didn't sell anything. But when you look at that small sample size, it's easy to get discouraged to say, man, I've been door knocking for 3 days. I've made 10 presentations. I haven't sold anything. That's a small sample size. But like I said before, I've had bad days. I've had bad weeks, but I've never had a bad month and I've never had a bad year, because you got to look at the big picture. You got to look at the big sample size. And the point is that if you keep doing the right thing for long enough, that good things are going to happen. The other thing too, Michael, before we end it, and you had mentioned this before about it's a numbers game. You got to remember, or a delivery person, we're nothing more than professional sorters. That's what we're doing. We're going through these leads. Some of the leads are going to be bad. They're just not going to buy no matter what. Michael, what'd you say? A third of them are just, they're not going to buy. It doesn't matter if you're right.
Be giving gold away and they're not going to take it.
They're not going to, they're just not going to take it. You just can't let that stuff get into your head. And that's what I mean by getting emotionally attached to the outcome, because you spent money on that lead. So you're invested in that lead with financial and emotionally invested in that lead. You just can't be tied into the outcome of every single lead. You can't let it get you down. You got to have that theory. Okay, man, that didn't work. Next. And at the end of the day, if you can end up and you close, if you write applications on 25 to 35% of your business, you're going to be a huge success. You're going to be at the pinnacle. You're going to be one of the top guys in the nation. Do you realize that? You can be one of the top agents in the nation if you can just close around 30 to 35% of the leads that you receive. It's all about the numbers. And again, if you get to the point where, and regardless of what your numbers are, let's say you're only a 20% closer, okay? They're not the best numbers in the world, but if you're a 20% closer, but you're taking 40 leads a week, how many would that be? That would be 8, right? That would be 8
Yep.
sales a week, and 8 times 650. Michael, that's $5,200 a week in annual premium times 52. That's $270,000 a year in annual premium, closing.
Wow.
20% of your leads, provided you understand that it's a numbers game and you have the odds in your favor and you have that weekly lead flow coming in. Hey, with that, man, we hit the nail on the head, man. We ran right about an hour. Take a minute, give us your final thoughts, and why don't you close us out for today?
Sounds good, Joe. Joe, I was always taught it's all about committing up front, that you're never going to grieve or dwell more than 15 seconds over any one lead situation. Because when you can make that upfront commitment, Joe, and you have enough leads to see, then you can say the most powerful word in sales, next, and you're on to your next sale. So if there's anything else that we have communicated, this business is all about activity. Key is the activity. As we always say, Joe, there's no activity, writing apps without seeing the people, and just by seeing the people, just by staying active, you will succeed in this business. Joe, is almost a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
But it all starts with you seeing the people and you staying active. And just remember, even though we've told you not to dwell or grieve over any of the one lead situation, just remember, even though you are in business for yourself, you're never by yourself. Me and Joe have been through what you've been through, especially Joe, one of the top agents in the country. You better believe he's been porched and told no and everything else underneath the sun. So if you get down, give us one of these calls. But just remember, everybody, hard work beats talent every time that talent hardly works, and that's what makes this industry so great. So with that, Joe, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, buddy. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks for hopping on the call. We're going to get this published. We'll get it on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out for some additional inspiration. Share it with your friends. God bless. Everybody have a great weekend. All right, Michael, take care, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everybody.
All right, partner. Man, take care.